This happened last year when I was working the night shift, and every night I had to take the train home. My office was a little outside the city, and the last train usually arrived around 2 a.m. That night, everything felt completely normal. I finished my work, picked up my bag, and like always, started walking toward the station. When I reached the platform, at first glance, everything seemed fine. But then I noticed something. The station was too empty. So empty that there was no one there except me. No passengers, no staff, just me. And the old overhead lights, faintly flickering every few seconds. I sat down on an iron bench and checked the time on my phone. 2:11 a.m. The train was just 1 minute away. I waited. But then I realized something strange. There was no announcement. By this time, there was always an announcement. I thought maybe the train was late. But then, from far out in the darkness, I heard it. The sound of a train. And for some reason, the moment I heard it, a strange uneasiness crept in. As if that train wasn't coming for me. I stayed where I was, listening. The sound grew louder. The grinding of the metal wheels echoed sharply through the silent night. I looked toward the far end of the platform. Through the darkness, I saw a faint light. It was the train. But something about it felt wrong. It didn't look like the others. Its headlight was weak. Its body looked faded. Old. Like it hadn't been used in years. The train slowly rolled in and stopped at the platform. And the moment it stopped, I noticed something else. I heard it stop, but no doors opened. Everything fell silent again. So silent that I could hear my own breathing. I stayed there for a few seconds. I wondered, was this the same train I had been waiting for? Or something else? Then suddenly, click, the door of the coach in front of me opened on its own. I flinched, but I tried to reassure myself. Maybe it was normal. Maybe I was overthinking. I slowly stood up and started walking toward the train. The sound of my shoes echoed across the empty platform. With every step, my heartbeat grew faster. And honestly, I didn't even know why I wanted to board it. But I kept walking, straight toward that open door. I stopped outside for a few seconds. Honestly, I didn't want to get on. I don't know why. There was just a strange hesitation. But I told myself I was overthinking. After all, it was just a train. I stepped inside. Everything looked normal. Seats on both sides. Lights on above. They were dim, but bright enough to see. I looked around, and I saw a man. He was sitting about 10 to 12 seats ahead. I couldn't see his face clearly. His head was tilted down, like he was asleep. I didn't think much of it. People fall asleep on night trains all the time. I sat down on an empty seat and took out my phone. Everything felt normal. But after 10 to 15 seconds, I realized something. The train hadn't moved. That was strange. It never stopped this long. I looked out the window. The platform was still empty. Then suddenly, my phone lost signal. Completely. No service. I thought it was just a network issue. But then the train began to move. Slowly. And at that exact moment, for the first time, I felt it. Real unease. I don't know why, but it felt like I wasn't supposed to be on that train. The train slowly pulled away from the platform. I kept looking outside. Within seconds, the station was gone, and there was only darkness left. I turned my attention back inside and looked at the man ahead of me. He was still in the same position, head tilted down, completely still. At first, I thought he was asleep, but then I realized something. All this time, he hadn't moved once, not even slightly. That felt wrong, but I tried to reassure myself. Maybe he was just in a deep sleep. I took out my phone again. Still no signal. No service. That wasn't normal. On this route, the network never disappeared completely. Then I noticed something else. The entire coach was silent. No movement. No coughing. Nothing. Just the sound of the train's wheels grinding against the tracks. I looked ahead again, and this time, I saw it clearly. The man was looking straight at me. I froze because I hadn't seen him lift his head. A second ago it was down, and now he was staring directly at me. Our eyes met. I quickly looked away and turned toward the window, pretending I hadn't noticed, but my heart was racing now, faster than before, and one question kept repeating in my mind. When did he lift his head? I kept staring outside into the darkness, but my attention kept drifting back to him. I didn't look at him directly. I just pretended, like I was looking outside. But I was watching him. A few seconds passed. Then I slowly looked at him again. He was still staring at me, the same way, without moving, without blinking. This time I could see his face more clearly. And the strangest thing, there was no expression on it. He didn't look angry. He didn't look normal. Just empty, like he was only watching me. I quickly looked away and told myself I was overthinking. But then I realized something. I hadn't seen him blink, not even once. My hands turned cold. I looked back at the window. Nothing but darkness outside. But in the glass, I saw his reflection. And even there, he was staring at me. But this time, his head was tilted, more than before. My heart started pounding. I turned to look at him again, and the moment I did, he slowly straightened his head, as if he didn't want me to see him like that. I froze. I was sure. A second ago, his head wasn't straight. I didn't feel safe there anymore. I decided to change seats. I stood up and walked toward the back. I didn't want to pass close to him, but as I did, I noticed his feet, and I stopped. They weren't touching the floor. They were slightly above it, like he wasn't sitting, like he was floating. My breath caught in my throat. I looked away and hurried to the back. I sat down and faced forward. My heart was racing. I tried to convince myself I was wrong, but I knew I wasn't. After a few seconds, I forced myself to look again. He was gone. The seat was empty, completely empty. My throat went dry. I hadn't seen him get up. He just vanished. Now the entire coach was empty. Only me and silence. Then suddenly I felt someone behind me, standing close, very close. I couldn't move. And then, near my ear, I heard a whisper. "Why did you board this train?" His voice was right beside me. So close. I could feel the coldness of his breath. I turned immediately, but no one was there. The seat was empty. I kept staring at it. Someone had just whispered in my ear. Then I realized something that made my stomach drop. This train had stopped running 12 years ago, and yet I was sitting inside it. My throat went dry. My fingers turned cold. I slowly stepped back. Train. My heart felt like it would stop. I gathered all my courage and turned back. But there was no one there. Only an empty coach and flickering lights. And then suddenly, the train started slowing down. For the first time, it was stopping. I slowly looked out of the window, and all the blood in my body seemed to turn cold. Outside, there was a platform, old, broken, and completely empty. A single, rusted sign stood there, with peeling white letters reading, Ravenwood Junction, and below it, in very small letters, closed since 2013. My breath caught. Closed? Then how was I here? My heart suddenly started racing. I made a quick decision. I had to get off, right here, right now. I stepped toward the door. The sound of my shoes echoed unnaturally loudly through the empty coach. As I reached the door and moved my foot to step onto the platform, a freezing, ice-cold voice whispered right behind my ear. "You weren't supposed to get off." My entire body froze. My breath stopped. Slowly, very slowly, I turned back. And this time, the man wasn't alone. The whole coach was filled with people, dozens of them, all silent, all pale, all staring at me. Some stood, some sat on the seats, and some looked broken, as if they had died in a terrible accident. Their eyes had no emotion, only waiting, a terrifying, silent waiting, as if they had been expecting me. My mind went numb, and in pure terror, I jumped straight onto the platform. I fell. My hand was injured, but I didn't feel the pain. I immediately looked back, and the train was gone, completely, as if it had never been there. No sound, no lights, nothing. Only empty tracks and dead silence. That night, I somehow made it home. I didn't tell anyone anything. But the next day, I searched online for Ravenwood Junction, and what I read shook me to my core. On September 14th, 2013, a passenger train near that abandoned station had derailed. 47 people died. According to the official report, the train's last scheduled stop was Ravenwood Junction. But the scariest part was that the report said some bodies were never found. That incident happened 13 years ago. But sometimes, late at night, when I am alone, I can still hear that same voice.